Welcome to another deep dive edition of the Chicks on the Right podcast, where we're going to talk about something that went down with a radio broadcaster earlier this week and the fallout from it. But first, we want to remind everybody that there's the best special happening at genucell.com/chicks right now, where you can get in the most popular package, the trio of dark spot correcting amazingness.
It works, you guys. I had one right here. It totally went away. I used it religiously. I probably should just use it all over my face, but then I'd be afraid that, like, I don't know, things like all over, I would just disappear. Like, I may just disappear. Like, that's how effective it is. You know?
It's good stuff. And the trifecta, because obviously they have the dark spot corrector. That's the magic, right? But what enhances that magic is using the Cristal's microdermabrasion before the dark spot corrector.
Which is amazing.
Then applying the dark spot corrector, and then following that up with the amazing buttery soft XV cream.
It's delicious. It's so great.
The best.
All their stuff is fantastic.
It really is. And you can get it at 70% off right now when you visit genucell.com. That's GENUCEL.com/chicks. And then make sure to use code chicks.
Do it.
All right. So admittedly, I had not ever heard of Don Geronimo
It's a great
until
radio
this
name.
week.
Fantastic radio name, though. You
It's
have
a
to
really
admit.
good one.
Yeah.
And he is a quite popular radio host. He and his sidekick, who I think goes by the name of Crash something or other.
Also a great
producer.
radio name.
Yeah. And so they were at the commander training camp reporting on that from whatever their little radio booth was that was kind of like overlooking the field as the commanders were taking the field and doing their practice stuff and their training stuff. And they happened to notice Charlotte McBride, who apparently they did not know, and that's another name I did not learn until this week. But Charlotte McBride is a local, I guess, D.C. Sports reporter, has been a sports reporter for quite some time, very good at her job, and also drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah.
And
weirdly enough, she looks a little bit like Barbie.
I know, it's so weird.
It's so weird. I mean, she does. There's a resemblance there. Look at the long blonde hair. She's very beautiful, like tall, slender. It's just, the resemblance is there.
Absolutely.
Just a little bit. Like, I don't look like Barbie. You look at me. I've got short hair. I got glasses. I'm not like I just don't look like, if you saw me, you wouldn't be like, she looks like Barbie. I don't look like Barbie. I don't. I mean, it'd be cool if somebody looked at me and said she looks like Barbie. I would take it as a compliment. I'm just I'm just preambling with the fact that, like, some women may look like Barbie and some women do not. You know what I mean? Now, if somebody told me that I look like Barbie, I probably wouldn't be upset about it. Just putting that out there and continue.
Well, and not only that, but Barbie in general is like on top of everyone's minds right now because of the movie starring Margot Robbie. And if I were ever compared to Margot Robbie, I would definitely take that as a compliment.
Oh my gosh, yes, as most women would be. And you're right, it is top of mind. Like, it's everywhere. They're marketing it everywhere. It's all over the place. Like, I think like Progressive Insurance is like pairing up with Barbie to market the movie. So you're absolutely right. It's on everybody's mind. Everybody's talking about Barbie. It's like Barbie, Barbie, Barbie all the time. Yeah.
And I think that plays into the conversation that Don Geronimo and his producer had on the air when they spotted her. Yeah. And so we have what they said. This was on a Thursday, and they were having this conversation, and here is what caused all of the hullabaloo.
Morning. Hey, look, Barbie's here. Hi, Barbie girl. Hi there. Hi. I'm guessing she's a cheerleader. While broadcasting live on Thursday, the two men made offensive and derogatory comments on the air.
So they called her Barbie. Hey, Barbie girl. She must be a cheerleader, they said. And then and then they called her when they pointed her out and realized, it looks like she's a sports reporter. I think it was the producer who said to Don Geronimo, there's that chick that you thought was a cheerleader. And so there was a trio of grievances The first being the Barbie comment, the second being the cheerleader comment, and the third being the chick comment.
Yeah. Well, we definitely aren't offended by the chick comment because that is our brand. Hello. Right. Like we chose the name willingly, like on purpose, with purpose. And okay, so he's 64 years old, this guy. So clearly from a different generation than this woman who is 39 years old. So for all intents and purposes, that makes her that she's a millennial. Right? 39 years old makes her a millennial. So they're in different generations.
For sure.
First of all, they're in different generations. So, and she's in a different generation than we are. I mean, I look at this and I'm 51. You're 50-ish. And so we're, I don't even keep track of how old you are anymore. Because you're 50-ish. So, I mean, I look at her and I think, okay, so she's offended by this. Like, why are you? It was really hard for us when we saw this earlier in the week because I don't understand the being offended thing. Like, I think, honestly, I look at this and I go, here's another millennial that's offended by something.
Right.
She's just offended to be offended. Like, why are you offended? What I would have done, because you and I were on the radio and we worked on the radio with all dudes, and that environment was so dudeish. It was so it was just so saturated with like a frat party vibe, which I loved. I love that environment. I like being surrounded by guys. I like it. They're very honest. They're forthright. It's like it wasn't uncomfortable to me. I like working with men. I've always liked working with men. I think you are the same exact way. I won't speak for you, but I think that you and I had a really good time working on the radio and in radio with a bunch of those guys in that environment. If this were me and somebody called me or alluded to the fact that I look like a Barbie, first of all, I would have been flattered, kind of like you said you would have been flattered. I would have been flattered. And if I had the least bit of like, okay, well, he's not taking me seriously as a radio personality, if I were a radio personality at that time, as opposed to a journalist, I would have played back. I would have like, okay, let's make this a game then. Like, I'm going to play with this guy because he's obviously wanting to play a little. I would have played. I would have like, all right, he teed it up. I'm going to play. I'm going to go back and I'm going to say something back to him. Instead, she's playing the victim card, which makes her appear, she puts herself on the defense. It makes her appear like she is the weaker sex here. And that's not okay. It's just not I don't think it's the way to handle it. Like, take the upper hand, play his game, and win. That's what I would do if it were me in that situation. But she didn't do that.
No, and in fact, she wasn't the only one that was offended. The radio station fired both Don Geronimo and the producer, and now, come to find out, Don Geronimo is apologizing and has apologized to Charlotte McBride. And, you know, we always say you never cave to the mob, never cave to the rage mob, and definitely don't apologize. Why he's doing it after he's already been fired, who knows? Maybe he genuinely feels bad, and I have no idea why he would, because this is not a big deal. But maybe he does, and so he feels compelled to apologize, even though it probably will not change the outcome of what's happened. So I can't speak for him, and if he wants to apologize and he means it, that's fine. But it does feel like it's caving.
Yeah, like it's almost forced. It's like he feels like he has to apologize because of the society that we live in, and that's the worst reason to apologize. I mean, you see it way too often. Like it's almost as if somebody said to him, listen, if you want to get a job again in radio, you probably need to apologize to this woman.
Yeah.
Like, screw that. Just, why are people doing that so much? Why would he apologize? He basically said that she looked like Barbie. It's like, okay, you're a beautiful woman. You resemble Barbie. Okay. And it's like, if he apologized, because the way that he did apologize, it was like, oh my God, it was just like a horrible thing that I said. Maybe he could have, if he wanted to apologize, he could say, okay, well, maybe I could have known her credentials before. I just didn't know who she was.
Right.
Maybe I could have handled it a little bit differently, or I could have asked who she was before assuming something. But I'm not going to apologize for saying that she's a beautiful woman. I'm not.
I don't know why he needs to.
Why would I apologize
so
for that?
dumb.
Yeah, exactly. Why would any man apologize for saying that a woman is a beautiful woman? It's like they can't do that anymore. And I think that is where we're getting into just this territory where it just sucks, to be a dude these days. You can't say anything about a woman that is playful or even the least bit, I don't even, like, dare I say flirty, because he is 64 years old and she's 39. But it used to be that you could say that kind of stuff and the sexes could play with one another and it wasn't derogatory. It was just like, and strong women would be like, all right, I'll play. Let's do this, because I know who I am and I know what I'm capable of. And you don't make me feel less than because I am accomplished. Screw you, dude. You're like, I'm going to be, and you think I'm pretty? Well, I am pretty. I am pretty. And I'm also accomplished. And I also am a journal. I'm this, and I'm this, and I'm also this, and I'm very three-dimensional. And you don't threaten me. And we can be in the same space and we can play. It's like,
well,
whatever.
and it's interesting too, because there's an old tweet of hers. I think it's from 2020 that we can show people on the screen, but also read for those people who are listening, where she and whoever her co-host, co-TV person, wherever they are actually. She's holding up Barbie. He's holding up Ken, and they are referring to each other as Barbie and Ken.
Interesting, right?
And so, people have found this and we're like, okay, so was it a compliment or was it not? Because you're fine, clearly, with comparing yourself to Barbie.
Right.
Why then are you so deeply offended when someone else does the same thing?
This is the thing.
And she literally looks just like the doll she's holding.
She does. She looks exactly like her. So this is the thing. So, I mean, it goes back to the whole, you make millennials look like, whiny babies. When you do this stuff. And you got a man fired. I mean, it's like two men fired. You got 2 men fired. So think about the ramifications of that. I mean, that's 2 families have been affected by that. Think of the ripple effects of that. I would feel terrible. I would feel so awful about, I mean, those dudes probably have wives and kids.
Yeah.
Think about, is that empowering? It's like, think of what's happening to, like, what if Geronimo dude or Crash dude, what if they have daughters? What does that say to them? It's like, so, all right, so you can wield your power and say, I'm a Barbie one day, or I identify as looking like Barbie one day, and then the next day I'm offended because some guy said that I look like Barbie, and I can have that guy fired. Yeah. Like seriously, what are we doing?
Well, and the pearl clutching is so hypocritical, too, when you think about the kind of filth that is absolutely allowed and tolerated and glorified in our society, whether it's hip-hop music or whatever, where they call women the worst of all names. And now some guy that's been on the radio for decades is going to get fired over referring to a woman as a Barbie? Are you serious? Like, how much sense does that make? There's no consistency with the standards and the standards of outrage. It's so ridiculous.
And you're okay with that? Like, grow up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And speaking of growing up, we need to talk about these Gen Zers and their lazy girl jobs. But before we do that, we have to remind everybody that it's the 20th anniversary of MyPillow, which is a very exciting time. Because in addition to the humongous discounts that they usually include on all of their products, particularly when you go to their landing page of mypillow.com/chicks, the discounts are extra deep right now because they are in party mode. 20 years is nothing to sneeze at. No. And so they're celebrating by giving huge discounts on their queen size pillows, less than $20 a piece right now, which is amazing. But there's huge discounts on all of their amazing products, and you can check all of those out at mypillow.com/chicks, and then use code chicks to get the deepest discounts.
Good stuff right there.
All right.
I don't even understand this, like lazy girl jobs.
It's a thing.
And then they're going out on the TikTok and telling other lazy girls how to get these lazy girl jobs. Like, this is the generation now. It used to be that, remember when we were starting out in, corporate America, right out of college, we were like, we have to work 18, 20-hour days just to, like, pay our dues to not work 18, 20-hour days. You remember?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? And now it's like, I need to do the least amount of work from home to make, the most amount of money, which maybe they're the smart ones. Maybe that's the way to do it, right? I mean, because they're like, okay, copy and paste the same emails, 3 to 4, like take 3 to 4 calls a day, take an extra long break, and then take more breaks and get a nice salary. Like, this is what these people are doing. I wonder if they're going out and they're making this public, do these companies see what they're doing to say I'm doing the least amount of work in these jobs, and I guess companies are paying them to do nothing. It makes you wonder, like, are they seeing that? Are they okay with paying these lazy girls to do nothing?
Well, it's a great question. And I have 2 thoughts about this, because I know that the TikToker is sort of responsible for coining the phrase lazy girl jobs. She actually has a decent point to make, which is, this generation, Gen Z, is very, very interested in work-life balance, which I think most people can appreciate.
Right.
And they are saying no more do companies get discounts on labor by working me 18-hour days. That's not fair to me, and I shouldn't have to do with it. If I'm doing a good job during the time I'm supposed to be there, then that should be enough. So she's not lazy. She's using the term to try to bring attention to this idea of having companies recognize that people want work-life balance. And I can appreciate that. The problem is, then there's all the losers who are making videos saying, look how little I can do and still get paid for it. And I don't think that's the message she meant to send, but that's now the message, is that like all these girls are like, I hardly lift a finger and they still pay me. And that's something to brag about? Ew.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you use the word lazy, you're going to get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
when
true.
like using the word lazy is going to attract lazy people. And there's a lot more laziness in the world, I think, than ever. There's just
for sure.
Than ever.
Yeah.
We see that everywhere. I mean, whether it's in a workplace or what, it's a rarity. Like, I mean, I look at the young people today. I know it sounds like I'm shaking my rake, but it's true. I mean, it really is true. It's hard to find people that are willing to work super hard. I think like the biggest anomaly is like our producer.
Yeah.
She works harder than like anybody in that age group that I know, I mean, it's hard to find people that are willing to work.
Well, it's sad that that's not something people
want to do.
Yeah. That they don't want to, I mean, because there is a lot of self-satisfaction in hard work. You know?
And then seeing the benefits of that and then seeing it pay off, it's kind of like, and I think part of it is I have such an entrepreneurial spirit. I think you do too. I don't think you realize you did until we actually started our business. Like, I think you were always Miss Corporate America and like get the gold watch until I convinced you, hey, let's start a company. You know what I mean? And I always have been entrepreneurial, and it's just, it was day in and day out, working all the time. You just work all the time, but you don't mind it. You know what I mean? You don't mind working all the time when you love what you do, when you love it so much. And then it pays off, and you may not be a millionaire, but you just love it because, you love being there. And I think, and I don't know if, I don't see a lot of kids doing that these days, because you don't see a lot of like innovators anymore. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of entrepreneurial.
No, now there's just influencers.
Right. And that's so different than the people who created and innovated and invented and did things like that in our generation. I hate to say that, but it's so true. And there's just something to be said for, you want to work 20 hours a day when it's something that you are creating yourself. It's different than, it's so different. It's not creating content. It's creating something, it's like it's starting a business, and that's totally different. It's like the Elon Musk of the world. He probably sleeps 3 hours a day, and he's probably okay with that because he is an innovator. Steve Jobs was probably that way, because he just was such a creative and brilliant dude. Believe me, I hate some of the stuff on my iPhone. But I mean, it's like but he was an innovator. He was an entrepreneur, and it's like, and I can name even Bill Gates. As much as I hate that guy, he was one of the innovators of our time. So there's a lot of those people that I could name from our generation that I don't know, it's just different. It's different than a lot of the stuff we see today. And so I don't know.
It is different.
Yeah.
And speaking of influencers, we've got to at least mention this insane story about a vegan influencer by the name of Jana Diart, who apparently, she's from Malaysia, and apparently she was on a very strict diet of only raw foods and fruit. So all she ate were fruits, sunflower seed sprouts,
oh my God,
fruit smoothies, and juices. And she was very popular with people.
No protein.
Because her body is like just one giant sinew of muscle.
Yeah.
And if you look at a picture of her, she's lean, but in the grossest way.
What I find really remarkable is that she actually has hair.
Yeah.
I mean, she has a beautiful head of hair, and I'm shocked by that because she's starving herself. I mean,
she did starve herself to death.
She died. She died of literal
39
malnutrition. She died. And so, I mean, so you look at her body is like, she didn't give herself any protein. There's no protein. But people followed this chick.
Oh yeah, and then probably some people ate the same way.
Yeah,
thinking, oh, she's like this expert on healthy eating. Well, she's dead now.
Yeah,
and so people that follow her, or for example, that also follow a guy that also just recently died, young guy who had an Instagram page filled with pictures of him being at the tippy top of rooftops of skyscrapers and then like pretending he was going to fall, right?
Oh my God.
And people loved watching him because he was such this risk taker, this daredevil. Well, he fell and now he's dead. And so what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like this just so dumb.
Which goes back to the whole, that's not creating or inventing or doing, that's just quit being a dumbass.
Right?
It's like I want to do something to make money, and so I'm making money by getting out here and just spewing a bunch of stuff that does that matter? What are you creating? What are you doing? What are you giving back to the world?
Right.
What is it that you're what are you providing? And so this she ain't no protein, y'all.
Oh my God. And that one chick, what's her name? God, we showed her on our live stream a couple weeks ago.
The anorexic girl.
Chick. Yeah. She's literally, if she's alive by the end of this calendar year, I will be amazed.
Yeah. And she has a bigger following probably than
millions of people follow her.
Just a gigantic following. And I don't understand it. I don't know if it's the morbid curiosity of when that woman's going to die.
Yeah.
Or if it's genuinely a bunch of girls who want to who follow her because they want to be like her.
There's a lot of those girls because you can see in the comments, oh my God, you look so great. You look so beautiful. She looks like she is she's going to die. And
she's a death's door. Right.
Yeah.
She looks like she's at death's door. She's so just horrifyingly thin.
Oh my God. And the flip side is those morbidly obese people who go on TikTok to show themselves eating just massive, disgusting quantities of food.
Equally as bad.
And it's equally as bad. And they have the equal number of gigantic followings who end up paying them for that content.
Yeah.
And to your point, how is that helpful to society, or how does that elevate our culture in any way? It doesn't. It just drags us all down.
It doesn't. It makes us all dumber is what it does.
It really does.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I don't know, does it makes us dumber, so then it makes not just women, but it makes all these kids, all these young people not inventors, not innovators, not entrepreneurs. They're
taking lazy way outs.
They're taking the lazy
way out of having a job, because if they can just be like stuffing their faces or prancing around wearing next to nothing and just being shells of a human, I mean, what she needs is Omaha steaks. Right. That's what that chick needs. Now, some of these other ones that we just mentioned do not need any more Omaha steaks. But that girl, the one with anorexia, man, could she ever benefit from the hotter than fire deal that they're having right now?
Yeah, that vegan could have used some too. Good Lord.
Yes. Yes, she so could have. So, yeah, there is a hotter than fire sale going on right now at Omaha Steaks. They have this is amazing. They've got the 32 grilling essentials. That includes 12 extra steak burgers.
So good.
All this for less than $100. There's a 62% savings right now. That's why they're calling it a hotter than fire deal. And you can check out that deal at omahasteaks.com and then just put the word chicks in the search bar. It'll take you right to the deal. You can then add on whatever you want. And I'm sure you're going to want to, when you start seeing the sides, you're going to be like,
and the desserts. God. You guys, the desserts, the tartlets, are you kidding me? You can have them for breakfast. They're so good. Not saying that I do that all the time, but not saying it either. Hello.
So go to omahasteaks.com, use code CHICKS in the search bar. Take advantage of that hotter than fire sale today.
Do it. Yeah. A lot to cover today. We had a lot to cover. We're kind of all over the place, but stories. I think the overarching theme is we really need to get our heads out of our butts, Yes. You really need to. Everybody needs to quit being so sensitive and quit, maybe get off of social media just for a little, maybe for a couple hours a day. Get your kids off of social media. Maybe that's the lesson here. I think adults can handle it a little bit better, but kids, oh God, I just worry about our kids, Mock. I really worry about our kids. It's a crazy world out there, you guys. Eat some steak. Buy some MyPillow. It's all going to be fine. Yeah, until next week.